Right. So, and we're live. It is the Kent Beck, probably. Yes, and I'm doing a kind of a dangerous double hangout thing here because all the timing is getting funny. Let me give my update. Is yeah, spent some time working on this PayPal thing where we've got blocked by the apparent lack of auto redirect on the button form, but Michael has found something that might help us with that. Yeah, hoping to carry on working on that after this. Oh, and Marianne's here. Marianne, yay! Let's go on to Michael, since you're first in. Yeah, Michael, how are things going with you? What's your update?
Arash and I were working on getting Cucumber tests wrapped around some assisting functionality on async bot.
Mm-hmm.
And we ran into some blockers, but we did code from a safe state back to the repo.
So you had a block about trying to save the code back to the. I didn't.
No. I said we did. We pushed. So on the repo, there's code that's kind of in a safe. It's all passing and everything. And
right.
We were doing further exploration, and basically, for instance, we had a setup where you have to set up the mock bot, the bot mock.
Right.
And a lot of different scenarios will involve that.
Right.
So we wanted to set it up so that it's kind of like in a global context.
Mm-hmm.
To set that up, because to share. So when you call we had a function called given a bot.
Mm-hmm.
Set that up and set up variables, and that worked fine when all the steps were in the same steps file.
Okay.
But then coordinating the steps across different steps files require a context object to save that state, that like global state, shared state across the scenario. And that basically seems to require let me think about this for a moment. Right. So in their setup, in Yada's setup, they attach it to the this variable inside the function, which is colliding with the arrow function, because the arrow function in ECMAScript 6 doesn't seem the behavior of the this has changed.
Okay.
And that's supposed to be a feature of ECMAScript 6, is that inside the arrow function, this behaves how people thought it should, rather than how it traditionally has in JavaScript. So what we did was we changed that to the old style function, old style anonymous function. But then that basically seemed incompatible with the promise framework from BotKit.
Right. The bot mock.
We need to use ECMAScript 5 anonymous functions, but doesn't seem to be working with our promises.
Right.
So we're kind of like, how do we resolve that? What do we do? And Aresh had suggested we might look at just using Cucumber.js.
Yeah.
And seeing whether that would work. If you had any ideas. Do you have a good understanding of what I...
Yeah, no, what you said, I mean, I think this issue that we've had the same thing in async voter with using Cucumber.js, this issue of splitting the thing over
multiple files
seems to be a particular problem with doing Cucumber.js or doing Cucumber in JavaScript. That particular difficulty that you've described as having, I think I understand what you're saying. I have maybe encountered something similar in getting botmock to work. I know there was a combination of callbacks and promises where like the callbacks that they couldn't be combined, then I had to remove the callbacks and rely only on the promises. But then that's I'm not sure if they're a similar thing. Yeah, there's.
I mean, when we have the arrow functions,
yeah,
when the steps use arrow functions and they define their thens in that way.
Yeah, the particular thing that we've had is that BotMock uses the ES6, which I don't know that we're necessarily ready for. So there's, yeah, I mean, we'll that's definitely something to dive in. It certainly sounds worth using Cucumber.js. There may be other things to look at. Let's go on with the Scrum. It's great that you've been able to get to that point and see that as a block, and we'll have to try and figure around it. Let's go to Matt. Matt, any updates from you? Any further thoughts?
Yeah, one update on Redeemify. We have another person, so we're probably at our limit right now because the UI is pretty much done, and the API is a little bit single threaded a little bit.
Right.
Try to think of how to get more people involved, but that's it. But I'll think about that. The other issue is I think I understand Armando's comments. So I was going to explain that to you real quick, but do you want to just leave that out of your mind for now? Or
I think probably as I grapple with the other things that are going on, particularly if you
what he said.
Yeah, it feels like we should maybe have a Redeemify focused meeting.
Yes,
maybe tomorrow, and like get down and maybe generate more user stories and whatever, like to allow more people to work on and so on.
I think I finally have the total concept of what he was thinking in his mind. Finally, so
fantastic.
Maybe for everybody, I can explain it.
Great.
I know some. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, Matt. And Marilyn is here. Marilyn, how good to see you. How are things going with you?
Yeah, hi Sam. I'm doing okay. As update is as usual from a local support project, as you know. Currently, I'm checking the API from posting to do it service.
Yes.
So this morning I emailed them to check the configuration for the QA server. As you know, the API key format from there doesn't really work on testing server. Also, I updated some description on the pivotal tracker ticket to describe the workflow that we can really implement in the current application. Besides that, I reviewed the comments on the PR ticket from Johnny on removing gmaps for Rails GM. That's all from my side.
Great update. Yeah, and I saw the email to the Do It folks, and hopefully they will respond and we will make progress. Yeah, there's a lot going on. I will try and review everything on local support tomorrow. And is there anything that I need to do to help you, or it's kind of we're just waiting for Do It to come back to us at the moment?
I already mentioned in the mail that I am from Agile Ventures. So
yeah.
I hope that Barney could respond as soon as possible.
Yes.
Maybe you could back me up with another email or another response.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm very pleased with your to see the very pleased to see you taking the initiative on that, and absolutely, I'll follow up with him maybe tomorrow if we don't hear back from them. Yeah, fantastic.
Okay, sure. Okay, thanks.
Great stuff. Very good to see you, Marion. Great to have you in the Hangout. So that's our Scrum. I guess we've basically got these two blocks. One on the doing the high-level Cucumber testing on the async bots, and the other one on trying to get this thing working with, oh God, what's it called? It is called, on the website one with the PayPal, although I think we have a lead on that if we can navigate through the PayPal config options. I guess, so, and Aresh has gone off, and I guess he's not available for any more pairing today. Is that right, Michael? Michael?
I mean, he said he went to lunch.
Yeah.
He'll probably be back, but I'm
sure
what exactly.
Sure. But I think, I mean, it would be nice to make a breakthrough on both of those things. Probably we should focus on one at a time. Yeah, trying out computers. It's frustrating that the Cucumber is so difficult in JavaScript. The thing that I'm wondering about the PayPal issue is I'm wondering if we like the thing that before you found that issue that maybe there's a setting that will let us do the auto redirect. I'm wondering if there is some way to, well, or if is the ability to return the element that important. Like actually maybe the simpler solution is just to not to necessarily know who the PayPal person who's paying by PayPal, if they're sponsoring somebody in particular, is just to know whether it's a sponsorship or not. Like in the first instance, the critical thing is to provide the functionality so that if I'm not
they encode it in the URL, right?
Well, I was thinking that what we can do and what does show up in the, let me do the screen share.
I thought the issue that you had was, oh, you're talking about in, like actually in, okay, yeah. So you're saying inside the PayPal account itself, it tells you like what the product was.
Yeah, so what we can...
So you can make one product be self-subscribe. And one
right. We could have two. So precisely this, we've got like item name. Like, so we saw when we do, if we change item name to something, that actually changes like what PayPal stores. So if the item name was like, you know, premium, you know, subscription versus like premium sponsorship, right? Then we would, independently of getting anything back on the end, I mean, we'd still want, like, ultimately for automation at the highest level, we would like it to auto redirect and come through, because that reduces the amount of sort of like manual updates that I have to make when we actually get PayPal subscriptions. Of course, what we don't know is, you know, are we ever going to get to hundreds of people using PayPal, or are they all going to prefer to use credit card? And so, I mean, it feels like if we can find that auto redirect setting and switch it on like within 15 minutes, then that's probably worth doing. Whereas if we can't, then kind of tying ourselves in knot to get this item number come back is probably not worth it. And we can just have the thing switch on the item name, and then we can actually roll out the functionality of if somebody's on, you know, not this page, but they're on an individual, can I just quickly go to but anyway, on an individual user's page, so we can just have a suppose. Go on, Michael.
I think he said basically we would just say one item name would be sponsoring someone else, and
right.
Name would be sponsoring
exactly. And then we would, because that's the critical distinction. It's like we can always reach out to the user and say, oh, sorry, who were the people that you wanted to? I mean, it's not very professional, you know, in the long run, but in the short term, because this is like a trial run with one person, and they'll be happy to tell me who it is. Yeah, so if we're able to actively distinguish between those two, then that's going to work well. Okay, well, I think that's our Scrum. So we have there actually still got the previous Scrum, not the Scrum, previous Hangout session is still running. So Matt and Michael, maybe I'll see you there. Maren, of course, you're more than happy to watch and join, but I'll follow up with you tomorrow about local support. That's our Scrum. Anything else that we need to do in Scrum? That sounds like a no. Great Scrum, guys. And yeah, see you in the other Hangout. Bye for now.